realize, like, you have a book. Like, you got this book. Do it.
Right.
I wanted to know, I know you said since it's loosely based on your life, I know one of the hardest things for me is going back and looking at old journals. And I've thrown a few out. How did it feel going back and kind of reviewing some things that maybe you had pushed aside and you have dealt with and you have moved on to kind of relive some of those experiences?
Well, that's something that I do often. I won't say often as in every year, but I try and take a time period where I just kind of reflect on where I am right now and where I've been. And that kind of, to me, is a good way to see how much I've grown. So I will go back and take a look at a journal. And I have journals that are labeled like, this is the bad stuff. You know? Read this in the case of an emergency. So it's I go back all the time, like I say, and just kind of like just look to see where I am right now.
Couple things. I purchased the book after the book release party. So when I'm reading the book, Corey's voice in my head is your voice. I'm a very auditory person. So Corey's voice throughout the book is your voice when I was reading it. And I read it in one day. They'll tell you I read like 2 or 3 books a week. So I just more or less I devoured it the first time through, and then I had to go back and read it again more slowly. And then I was like, okay, how much of this is her life? And I called Zip. And I'm like, Zip, is she writing about herself?
Right.
But, and then my other thing is, please do not make us wait another 2 years for book 2.
I will not. I will not. I think I'm on chapter 4 right now. And I'm having a hard time with Darius. So I'll tell you that's where I am right now. I'm having a hard time with Darius and trying to figure out how I want to open his scene up. Because it's got to be horrific.
How about you gonna incorporate what you told him when him and his boyfriend was living in that house, and you cussed him out on the phone, but you ain't going to what you said?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it, but in a different way. My mind is kind of like backwards. So I don't do things like the traditional way. I kind of like do things backwards, and I think that you guys will be pleased in the way that I'm going to handle that.
So do you know the ending of the book before you write everything else?
With this one, I did. With this other one, I really don't. I really don't.
And that was going to be my question, since it's kind of a back take on everything, you know, once you start getting to the end of the book, is it going to then almost like lead you into 30-day notice, or does it just end? Does it take you to another direction?
Yeah. That's a good question.
That is a good question. Because originally, I wanted it to take you here. This is why I said I feel like I'm writing 2 books.
Right.
Because one is kind of like in the past and one is kind of like in the present. And I really wanted to kind of meld them together. I kind of know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. It's going to end up being 2 books. Because I'm just too afraid that I'm going to lose you and I don't want to. But the next book, God, I wish I could just like... It's hard writing something and having a discussion with people that you really can't like tell them really what's going on.
But that's how
Let's keep it everything.
This I will say, when you open the book for the second book, when you first open it, you're going to be in a scene where Corey, the day that she actually tried to kill herself.
Okay, I'm good. I'm ready. I'm good.
Yeah.
That's gonna be good right there.
Because it was talked about in here.
It was.
Right, but she didn't tell.
But it didn't go
exactly.
into detail.
Yep.
So when you open the book to the second one, that's the first scene that you're gonna like jump into is that.
But your teaser was good. That's a teaser. So 30 Days is a teaser.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm actually really excited about the second book. I really am. I'm really excited about the second book, but we're here for this one.
Right.
Can anybody, or all of you for that matter, kind of share with me like a specific part of the book that really, really made you look at yourself?
I think I already told mine the day when she left her husband.
Mine was when you broke up with Layla. And all the emotion that came with that because you loved her, because Corey loved her so intensely and so completely and so unconditionally. And she was willing to do anything to give to her. And as a result of her even letting go, she was still wanting to hold on. And the feelings, the raw feelings that she experienced after she had actually dropped her off at the airport, and you would get in the shower, and then you get out and you cry, and you just break. You have those moments where it's just complete collapse. And then you're just like, why am I here? And you fall on your face. That all resonated very strongly because at the time, it was when I first came out, my first love, and you know, I had a thriving business making $90,000 a year, and I gave her everything, a car, you know, put her in an apartment, and you know, furnished the apartment. So I was doing all of that for her to just use my car to then go get another woman and brought her back and dump me. And so, and it happened right when the recession came in, and you know, my business got hit, and you know, so I was on my face crying. I mean, literally on my face saying, why am I here? You know, why you put me through this? You told me to come out. You told me to be who I am. And I did that. And now I'm here. And why? Why did you allow this to happen, meaning God? Even walking on my balcony thinking if I can jump off this 7th floor, I'm sure if I drop, I'll die right away. And so I can relate to that because that was what I walked. That's what I did. That's what I went through. And it took me to go to New York and talk to people I didn't know and tell me that, oh, you still love her. I said, you motherfucker. You know, and I want to cuss them out because I was trying to let that go and move on. And it was very difficult. It took me three and a half years to do that. So that was what was very raw to me. And in fact, I put the book down, and Terry told me, and one time I said, she right about it. And she just looking at me like, oh my God. She said, well, you're just lazy because you won't write your own. I said, and I just stopped and I just looked at her. That's one of those things, somebody telling you the truth. And I looked at her and I was like, you're right. And I went back upstairs. So that was the part that really resonated for me. Everything you were saying is everything that I said and went through.
And they pretty much have already
Yeah.
said theirs, so.
When the same
Mine
area
was
where she
very
was at,
similar.
when she was talking about, it was like I was had discussions with. We always talk all the time, and we were talking, and it just when that happened, I imagine that happening to me with him, and it literally broke my heart. Like I'm getting teary-eyed now. But and I needed confirmation from him. Like I came downstairs, he was in the kitchen, and I'm like, I need to know that we're okay. You know what I'm saying? Look at him. Oh my God.
The man in the group.
First one to cry.
But actually what resonated with me is
I think so.
all the different instances you were having with your
Corey.
friends
Corey.
that seemed to, I mean, not you. When I say you, I mean the author, blah, blah. Because they seem to be people that were fairly close to you. They weren't just some people you knew.
Right.
They were your friends.
Right.
And I have trust issues, huge, where I don't tell people a lot of, you know, people know me on a surface level. And that's the reason why. Because I don't trust people enough to know that when it gets bad.
Right.
So every time I read it, I was like, yeah, see, that's why I'm It's right here. It's right here.
Right.
And then I kept reading, and then it happened again. And I was like, yeah, see, I'm on point. Because no sooner than you let people in, and I consider everybody in this room a very close friend of mine. But I just have this, and you can only go so far with me, and it just stops because of stuff like that. And I was like, wait. And I was like, so every time it happened, And I was like, this was her best friend. This was her, you know. And if you get that from somebody who close to you,
Right.
all these other people surely, and they have. You know, people have said stuff about me, and I've heard stuff about me. I've dated some people I don't even know. I've slept with some people. You know, it's just, it's
Right.
bad.
Right.
So every time something happened to you, I felt like it was happening to me, and I was like, it kept validating me. And even though I don't want to be that way, I don't. I want to be more open and free and share and trust and all that, but
I'm sorry, you're closed.
I am. I mean, I can be, you know, zip, but when you start
So much
digging
you
deep,
shit. I'm sorry, that's
and-
not about the book. Sorry.
right. People know me for years, and they be like,
That's the second book.
Can we have another discussion about all this?
Right. Right. So it was, you know, it was good and bad for me because it was validating for me, but I don't want to stay stuck here. So it was validating me too much. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you need to keep doing what you're doing. 'Cause this right here, young.
You know, I was gonna say that the ending of the book, I really liked the way you ended. You know, it gave hope. And I was looking at it, and I was, you know, and everybody, well, the majority of people know here, you know, in here that, you know, I've been an actress, but I've been more involved in the past year and a half now. And it's something I'm really starting to be like, you know, and I've been talking to Dorian like, I don't know, babe, and she's been encouraging me about it. And when I read the end of your book, it's just like, there is hope.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't have to be stuck in that rut. And I love, I love the fact that with Corey, no matter what kept hitting her, she kept coming up with something that she was gonna do. I'm gonna do this business. Damn, that got hit. I'm gonna do this. Damn, that got hit. She just kept saying, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. And that's what I love about the whole book about all the bad stuff. Yeah, that makes a good story. But you want to hear what the hero's gonna do, or the heroine. What is she gonna do? Is she gonna lie down and die, which you could have done at the end of the book, you know, when she just takes her life, or is she gonna get up and keep moving? And the fact that you surrounded her with people, even though you didn't put them that much in the story, like her brother, I would love to know more about her brother, and I would love to know more about her sister. The fact that Corey's sister and Corey have such an interesting relationship, I would love to hear more about them, that family unit, you know, and stuff. So I love the fact that at the end, the heroine survives, moves forward, successful, and then to slip Karen back right in that fold, it was, I love that. I was like, oh, she gonna have to hook up with Karen.
I know.
She got to hook up with Karen. Okay, Karen, right there for her. The little shy girl that's, I had a crush on you, little. Yeah, she got to do something
It's
with
like
that.
a healing book too, because the second part, like what Zip was saying, how you closed off. I used to be that way intensely. In fact, I had levels of friendships, and I was not able to allow people to get past a certain threshold. I would get nauseated and I would get sick. I mean, almost to the point where I can throw up if I got too close to people. But it was something that I continued to push and work past and continue to push because I wanted more meaningful relationships. And when I lost everything, I didn't have not one friend, not one family. No, I had one that stood by my side when I lost my cars, I lost my home, I lost everything. And I had one friend that stood by my side, just one, not family,